Hello, everyone. It's Dr. B again. The vacation is over, and I'm back to teach the I Want to Be Me course. If you remember, I'm Dr. Boskowitz, and I'm working on my two books. One is I Want to Be Me, but I don't know who I am. That's the Guidebook. And the other one is the Workbook, I Want to Be Me Workbook. Same girl, but with all her new friends. And we had done 3 whole chapters, which if you look at the way of the guidebook, these 3 chapters took pretty much, look at the edge, took pretty much half of the book, not the guidebook, the workbook. It took half of the book. So these first 3 chapters, are as long as the rest of the whole workbook. And the reason for that is that it was laying the foundation for the work that needs to happen. So I'm thinking this morning, I was thinking of building a house. When you build a house, first you have to have plans, and they're called blueprints when an architect puts it all together. But anyway, you need to have plans, you need to know what you're doing, but you also need to establish the base for the house, the foundation. The foundation is the most important part because it holds everything together, and you have to make sure that everything fits well with the foundation before you even start building it. So, and the foundation is a lot of work. You have the pipes for water and sewage and electricity and gas and who knows what else you may have in the house. And the wiring for various things. So there is a lot to be done on the foundation. So this is why these first 3 chapters were the foundation for your work in learning the skills to become an adult. And we covered a lot of time. The next chapters will go much more quickly. They are more brief, and they are to help you crystallize, to help you what we call operationalize it, put it into practice. And the chapter 4, the very first one we're going to go over now, is a very brief chapter talking about now that you have learned to take a good look at yourself and to see what you are like and what you may want for yourself. It's important to get to identify your strengths, to see what is working well for you and how it got to be that way, to see, what needs more work and how to get that done. The chapter is called Get to Know Yourself, Find Your Strengths and Forge Ahead. And without judging yourself, without criticizing yourself, without being negative about your own abilities. You may well be negative, as I talk in the chapter, about a lot of things in your life, but not about yourself. It's important to give yourself a chance to listen to that true voice that tells you what you need and what you want to do with your life. So in chapter 4 in the workbook, I invite you to find your strengths and recognize your qualities. If you've been using the identity scale and the behavior scale, you have a good idea of what you are like, and not only what you are like, but what you would like to be like. You know what you would like for yourself to become. And these are very important goals. You know where you may have some trouble getting there, and what you need to work on, particularly in the behavior realm, but even in the qualities realm. Maybe you're not as courageous about getting things done as you would like. Maybe you procrastinate, which we all do sometimes because we're afraid of moving forward. So how do we find the strength to move forward, the courage? How do we encourage ourselves to move forward? All this is important to think about and to see what we want to do with our life. So one of the things that is extremely important for teens is to have a solid structure at home. However, for many teens, it isn't really there. The parents may be too busy or too absent, or sometimes they're overly strict, but I think most of the danger is when they are not there enough. They are not present enough. They are not holding the space well enough. And so, because the work of the teen years is to take over for your parents, because for whatever reason, let me backtrack here. It is your job to start learning what you need and to start to put it into place for yourself. So if your parents have offered you the solid milieu that you need, that's wonderful. But if they haven't, it's not too late. For whatever reason, they may not have ever, studied it or had it themselves, so they cannot share that. But you can decide on what you need for yourself. So I talk about, having solid rules for yourself and expectations. Hopefully those come from your parents, but if they don't, you can still do them. And so I actually have a twofold part which asks about what are the rules in your home? Are there clear rules? Are there clear penalties? Real life consequences. So rules, for example, rules about curfew, about having friends over, about using the car, about doing homework, about attending school, about smoking or using alcohol or drugs, about the phone use, about computer video games, about hitting or hurting siblings, about chores, about pet care, about mealtime. Lots of rules about going into others' rooms and other things, about respecting your adults and your siblings. So, most of houses, most homes have rules at least about some of these things, and they certainly have expectations, even if the rules are not clear. But I invite you to turn it around and decide for yourself what rules you need and be honest with yourself. Of course, none of us like rules, none of us like limits. It's very tempting to say, I don't need any rules, any limits. But the problem is that it's very easy to get lost without rules and limits. So it's important to think about these and to think about what they ought to be for you. And, this is all private. Nobody else is going to read it or say anything. So again, go through these and see what rules you need. And, like, for example, the one about curfew, a lot of cities offer you that. They give you an 11 o'clock curfew. It's not even your choice, but it makes sense. But a rule about having friends over, when is it good to have friends over? When is it not? This will take quite a bit of knowledge about yourself and being honest with yourself. And you have time. You can, unfortunately, learn by trial and error what works for you. And I think that's what most of us do. Do we have friends? Well, yeah. Do we stick to our schedule if we have friends? Maybe yes, maybe no. Do we do our homework even if we have friends, or do we just get tempted into doing nothing? So all these are realities that we all face. Do you work better with a friend around, or do you work better when you're by yourself? What about the rules about using the car? That there are places, areas of the city or towns that you shouldn't go to. That you shouldn't be speeding. It's dangerous. That maybe you can't have 10 people in the car or have the radio blasting. All these things are important, and hopefully they're furnished to you for you, but if they're not, it's your job to try to establish a structure for yourself. So this is a very big challenge, and it doesn't happen overnight, and we all make mistakes. and it's never too late to try something else and to go with it. So in the book chapter, in the guidebook, I talk a little bit about decision trees, but I don't go into it in very big depth. But however, in the workbook, I do, and I will be going over that with you later this week. For today, we just have a quick little lesson about taking care of yourself, even if your home doesn't provide the rules that you need, you can make them for yourself. And stay safe and take care of yourself. So I will talk with you very soon again. Thank you. Bye-bye.